Welcome back to Lost Legacies, a Hidden City Book Company production. I'm Sam.
I'm Matt.
Everyone, welcome back. It's been a heck of a time, and we're here, and we're talking about Andor once again. But before we get into that, Matt, what's up? How's it been going?
Luckily, it's a short week because we have 4th of July. So it has been a couple days since I watched the episode. So there might be some refresher that you might need to refresh me a little bit because it's been a couple of days. But yeah, for the most part, I've been good. I don't know what what's new movie wise. I there was like a special like Fantastic Four kind of behind the scenes thing.
Oh, was there?
Yeah, it was kind of just like how they're making everything practical and they actually have the outfits. Yeah, no duh. So they're not CGI outfits. And they built the sets and they built Times Square and stuff. I'm like, oh man, that looks really cool. So
That's really cool.
yeah, I'm excited for Fantastic Four. So I think it's gonna be cool.
It's crazy that's where we're at right now when it comes to movies. It's like, yeah, we're so excited to actually make things and actually build things and actually have people wear stuff. Like that shouldn't be
Yeah.
news.
Yeah, right.
Like that shouldn't be noteworthy.
Yeah.
It's just crazy that's where we are.
Yeah. I wish I could see like the budgets. Like how much did it cost them to make, like, we'll say, well, costumes, for example. How much does it cost them to CGI costumes on top of the actors' movements and stuff, as opposed to just making real costumes?
Yeah.
You know? So like I think like the big one was Avengers Endgame. That was one of, I mean, of course Iron Man got to a point where he was all CGI. But like the Endgame outfits, they look like they could have been practical. You know?
Yeah.
Iron Man, he's made of iron. So like you can understand the reason why they would want to CG it. But other than the end game, like the helmets just kind of materializing out of nothing, like those outfits could have been practical.
Yeah.
That's why I don't get it. So also, not only am number one, I'm tired of the multiverse. Number two, I'm tired of the nanotech.
Oh
Like
yeah.
helmets just coming off out of nowhere, just like take it off, put it back on. Like,
Yeah, yeah. And it's gotten to a point where it's like, all right, this is ridiculous where it's like almost every hero has that now. Like if they
yeah,
have a mask or a helmet or something, nope, that's how it is. It's just nanotech. They think it and the mask comes
it
off.
doesn't
I'm
make any
like,
sense.
no, it doesn't.
Yeah, I don't know. I,
Yeah.
I I want practical. And if we're looking at all the stuff that's really making money and really like has the fans' attention right now, it's a lot of the practical stuff. You
Hmm.
know, the CGI in John Wick 4 enhanced what was there. It wasn't like the focus of it, you know?
Yeah.
Now, of course, John Wick wasn't in the final end game battle, which is so CGI. It requires so much CGI, you know. But still, like you can have smaller films that don't require that stuff, you
Hmm.
know. So I think a big example right now is Andor. You know, Andor has CGI, and I'm pretty sure they're using volume, but for the most part, they're shooting on location, you know, and they're shooting practically, as opposed to the other shows, which we talked about last time, as opposed to other shows which are just so much CGI, so CGI heavy, and they're, you know, like it's just I don't know.
Yeah.
At least Matt Reeves made the Batman look stylistically cool. You know, if we're
Yes.
going to use this tech, you know, I'm just glad it's not green screen anymore. But if we're going to use volume, we're going to make it look cool. You know, we're just not going to boom post the backdrop of a city, you know, and say that's Gotham. You know,
Yeah.
like they actually like color tones. It was a very grainy, at times like orange looking city,
Hmm.
you know, and
Hmm.
I'm like, okay, that's cool, you know. They're using the tech and they're saying like, well, what else could we do with it? You
Yeah.
know? So yeah. So yeah, so that has me pumped for Fantastic Four.
Hmm.
which I'm pretty sure is going to be a CGI heavy film. So I have talked about my concerns with Silver Surfer being
Yeah,
100% CGI. But like, so is the thing, right? Like the thing is supposed to be
yeah,
like a mix of CGI and like stop motion. And
I think so. Yeah.
yeah, so I don't know how that works, but so far, like the thing looks great.
Hmm.
So we'll see.
My
We'll see.
my only complaint about the thing is that I feel like he's too small. Like, I don't know. I feel like he should be a little bigger.
I can feel that. I like yeah, like if it's gonna be a CGI character, like why couldn't they like put him on some big boots or stilts, Vin Diesel
Yeah.
was wearing like the stilts for Groot, like,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. So yeah. Yeah. So and then James Gunn did say he cut out the shot from Superman where like the camera's on his face.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, good, thank you. I don't like it, It's
Yeah.
not cool. If the character's not going to look cool, it has to, serve some point. Like, because Superman's supposed to be cool. He's the hero. So if he doesn't look cool, like, what's the context? Is
Mm.
he weak? Is he injured? Is he emotionally vulnerable because he's talking with Lois? Like, what is it? I don't want
Well,
him to just look dumb because like the air's pushing his face back because he's flying so fast.
right. Right.
You
Yeah.
could do that with Guy Gardner, and he has that dumb haircut that it would look funny to see like the air pushing back on his face.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Cause like I know Jurassic World came out. Uh
Oh yeah. Any news on it so far?
uh kind of just a little mixed, but kind of everybody's just like, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, more of the same.
Yeah, yeah, more of the same,
Yeah.
And I know we talked about it off pod how like there really wasn't like that big of a gap between movies. Like it's only been 3 years.
Yeah.
I think everybody's mostly just talking about like um Gareth Edwards.
Okay.
Oh dang it. Maybe I got that wrong.
Wait, is he the director?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Gareth Edwards who did Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's right. Yeah, did Godzilla Monsters Rogue One. Um
Mm.
yeah, yeah. I think they're mostly just talking about how like um the quick turnaround cuz for the production of this movie cuz I think like from pre-production to filming to like release it's been like about a year.
Oh crap.
Yeah, yeah, or
Wow.
something like that. I think I heard that. So it's like there was a real quick turnaround on making this movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I think everybody's like, yeah, like that, like they're just kind of praising that and wondering like, is that how it's gonna be for movies now? Like I
Yeah.
don't know.
And we were just
Uh,
talking about Denis Villeneuve, who immediately after he finishes Dune, he's gonna have to go into production on the new James Bond movie.
yeah,
And it's like, why did he take this? One, it's
yeah,
probably a buttload of money, and two, like it's probably the only opportunity he's gonna get to direct a Bond movie, you
yeah.
know. But apparently, they also just revealed that he doesn't have what's it called, final look or the final say, final cut.
Uh-huh.
So, which basically means as a director, you get final say of what the movie is. So if there's something in it you don't like, it
Mm.
doesn't get released.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so that's something you really fight for. And someone in his position probably could get that, but not with Bond because Amazon they're only hiring him for one film and they have a vision for the franchise.
Uh
So
yeah,
they're going to do a
okay.
post-credit scene that he's not involved in and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, "Oh my God."
All right. I didn't know all that. So now, yeah, now I'm really not looking forward to that.
Yeah, yeah, so am I.
One, I just don't feel like Denis Villeneuve is a good choice.
I think
Like,
it's a very interesting choice. Like, I wonder, like, why him other than just his star power, like what he's done. He's done great stuff, but like, what about his body of work says, hey, let's get this guy to do Bond?
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know.
I don't know. Like that's kind of the thing that's getting me. I'm like, yeah, what about him? Because none of his movies feel like they have that sort of, like they definitely do feel intense, but I feel like there's some sort of like kinetic energy that you're looking for in a Bond. Um, yeah,
Like
I don't know.
fun.
Yeah, yeah, fun. That's the thing. That's the thing.
Denis Villeneuve's a
Denis
great
Villeneuve,
director,
he
but
doesn't make
none of his
fun
movies are
movies.
fun.
Yeah, he doesn't make fun movies.
Yeah.
Also, he doesn't make sexy movies.
Yeah.
Even like the Daniel Craig movies. I know they kind of started like dropping the, they dropped that kind of aspect of the character. They included like touches of it every now and then,
Hmm.
but even then, like there's still moments where you're like, yeah, James Bond is sexy.
Yeah.
He's really cool. And I can't really say that about any of Denis Villeneuve's protagonists or his movies.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. Uh yeah, I guess we'll see what happens.
I'm interested in the new James Bond video game called 007 First Light, which is essentially
Yeah.
like Bond's first mission. Like he gets recruited into the 00 program.
Hmm.
And I'm curious, like when did this go into development? Like was this did Amazon have any like stake in this?
Mm.
You know? From what I've read, like so far, it doesn't seem like it. Because I saw the trailer and like it looks great. He looks kind of generic. He just looks like a typical. I mean, actually, he looks very American.
Yeah.
Just young white guy with a scar. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, all right, that's interesting. But
But honestly, I think you want that out of a character who becomes a spy, you know? They just look kind of generic.
oh, okay, yeah, I see that. But like all the Bonds have a certain look, you know. You see him and you're like, "Oh, that's Bond." He doesn't look
Mm.
like just a generic white guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so it's not really just the look, it's the whole persona and the
Hmm.
style that he carries. And I feel like this video game version doesn't have that.
Hmm.
Um so maybe that's something you slowly get into. But what I'm concerned about this game and this new film franchise and getting Denis Villeneuve, I'm just afraid that they're over there like, let's make a grounded, kind of down to earth, gritty James Bond.
Been
I'm like,
there.
we've
We've
just
done
done
that.
that. That's the last
Yeah.
what? How many movies did Craig have? Five? Four,
5.
five? Yeah, that's what that was, you know? It's like
Yeah.
I
It's like I'm over that.
I would what I wanted, and I know we're not gonna get, is a period piece.
Mm.
Set it back during like the Cold War. You know, like just like the Connery Bonds. Like let's go back to basics, spycraft, but you could still throw in a bunch of like just badass action scenes. You
Hmm.
know, let's just take us back and have a little like the nostalgia is so heavy right now. You know, we've talked about that how everyone is very nostalgic and we want nostalgic things. So like, why can't we do that with Bond? You know,
Mm.
but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
There's
I
just
I worry that doing a nostalgia picture like that, you run the risk of it being of it kind of becoming a little bit more like self-parody
yeah, that's
in a
true.
way. And also, I also feel like, and I know Daniel Craig has come out and said this, but like the Austin Powers movies kind of hurt the Bond movies.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
They really took the piss out of the Bond movies, and then it's like,
Hmm.
okay, well, how? I mean, straight up, you, Austin Powers and Doctor, spoilers if you haven't seen these movies, but
Hmm.
Austin Powers and Doctor Evil, they're brothers. And what did they do with, also spoilers for the Bond movies? What did they do with Bond and Blofeld? They made them brothers.
I just had a thought.
Okay.
Because like, look at Knives Out. I think that's a
Hmm.
good example, of like, of capturing that classic kind of, lock house, not lock house mystery, but like the classic whodunit, the murder mystery.
Yeah.
and being true to those roots, but at the same time being modern, you know?
Hmm.
So I don't necessarily, I do think Austin Powers has really made it difficult for Bond moving forward, but I don't think you can't revisit that. You know,
Mm.
I think it would be really cool to touch upon some of those cliches, you know, of that spy genre and kind of flip it on its head a little bit. You know, I think it's
Hmm.
possible. Get Christopher Nolan to do it. I don't know.
I do think it's possible, and I think it's already been done with The Kingsman.
Yeah, but that's more I feel like that's kind of gets into the parody thing that you're talking about. Not that it's a parody movie, but it's literally it's not like grounded or realistic. Not that that's what we want,
Right.
but it's still well,
But that's the
you know,
thing,
I
you
think
know,
you might have
like
just talked me into it. Like
yeah, yeah, no,
I
at least like the first movie itself, because the first movie is the best one.
yeah,
Like it does. It takes all of those things, all of those classic tropes and ideas that we have from the Bond movies, specifically kind of like the later Connery and then the like the heart of the Roger Moore movies.
yeah.
And which I think is a fantastic idea. Um and then it kind of just like puts it in the modern setting where you do have Colin Firth as like does kind of feel like could be somebody who's maybe time displaced, you know, or like from a
True.
different era
Hmm.
in, you know, modern day London, having to treat, you know, like this young kid, you
Yeah.
know, and train him. Um, yeah, and again, like, you know, like at almost every point, like it, like as meta as it gets, it is, you know, kind of breaking down, but also reaffirming the things that we love about spy movies and the
Hmm.
spy genre. It's so over the top, but at the heart, it's still like a coming of age story, you know, and it's still a
Sure.
cool action movie.
Sure.
Um,
I think my you've convinced me. Like I would be down with something like that because they do go there. It is cartoonish, you know,
mhm.
but I like that about it. The things I don't like about the Kingsman series is the same things I don't like about um Knives Out, which is that they make it modern by what's the word? Like making it naughty. You know,
Ah, yeah, yeah.
I
It's like
love
we're
Knives
gonna
Out.
curse in these movies,
Yeah,
and we're
and
gonna
I'm
talk
someone like
about weird sex.
I don't really care about people cussing in movies, but it's just like I think Knives Out is such a great like murder mystery, but it kind of alienates that murder mystery crowd because it's bringing in all those elements from outside the genre, you know?
Yeah,
Now, it's not
yeah.
saying that they can't be incorporated. I just don't think it did it well, you know? Like I thought it was
Interesting.
but here's the thing, that obviously wasn't the point of the movie,
Hmm.
you know? I thought it was funny, you know? I loved it. And like but it's just it's kind of like an homage to that genre while also making something different, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
Um
absolutely.
Same thing with Kingsman. Now Kingsman was based off the comics, so I knew what to get into. But it's just like, and here's my thing example or whatever. Like I don't think Dad would like Kingsman, you know.
Yeah,
And it's like the reasons he wouldn't like it. It's also the same things that I don't like about it. You know.
yeah,
Now I was
yeah.
a fan of like sure ultra violence, sure, but I don't need that in a James Bond movie if it goes that route. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I think that
Hmm.
church scene is iconic when they're playing Freebird,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I don't think that has a place in a James Bond film, you know?
Right, right, exactly.
So it fit into Kingsman. So it would be cool to do something of that mix, something that still is honors the old but does something new. Um, but those are two examples of doing something new that's done well, you know?
Hmm.
The script to Knives Out is really good. It's the cussing and all that stuff. It doesn't bring it down
Hmm.
in the hands of an amateur director or a writer who doesn't know what they're doing. That would be how they make it modern. You know, oh,
Yeah.
it's just Agatha Christie, but they all have sex. and they
Yeah.
all cuss. And it's like, no, that's not the point, you know? Like, yeah. Yeah. Ryan, was that Ryan Johnson? Right?
Yep.
Yeah. It's good because he's good. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I fear that Amazon is trying to do the dark, gritty thing, and they're like, but we're gonna try and make it modern
Hmm.
by doing that.
It's especially interesting too. I didn't even think about this until now, but like how many sort of like spy movies Amazon has been a part of, or like spy shows.
Yeah, that's true.
I guess it's more so like the shows because they well I say just, but it's probably been about a year or so, but they just did the Mr. and Mrs. Smith reboot with
Hmm.
Donald Glover.
Hmm.
And then they also had that show Citadel with
Hmm.
Richard Madden.
Hmm.
And two both like big kind of spy shows, and I haven't seen anything besides like trailers for either of them, but that's kind of the vibe that I'm getting, like just more grounded, action, more grounded, spy stuff.
Hmm.
The Mr. and Mrs. Smith show does seem like it's fairly rooted in reality, whereas Citadel felt a little bit heightened, like we're dealing with
Was
like secret factions and
was
stuff, but
Citadel the Russos?
oh, I don't know. Maybe?
I want to say
I
I
know they
do
did
know.
The Gray Man. That was on Netflix.
Yeah, I was gonna say at least it's not Netflix.
Yeah.
Um, but I think also like Jack Ryan was huge for
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Amazon.
Hmm.
So let me see, Citadel. Oh no, Russos aren't. I don't recognize any of these names. Oh, they're executive producers, but there's like 13 executives on this.
Oh, wow.
So because I do know that they were trying to build it into like a franchise, which of course everything does.
Right.
Just make something fun, guys. Make something fun, you
Hmm.
know?
Hmm. And don't get the same writers that have been writing it since Tomorrow Never Dies. Or no, not Tomorrow Never Dies. The World's Not Enough.
Yeah, I think it's pretty. I think they're done. I think it was such a volatile like cut from the Broccoli family, right? Was that their
Hmm.
names? Like, I
Hmm.
don't think there's going to be any connection to the past.
Mm.
So,
Which is crazy, like
yeah.
they've been steering, the franchise for decades now. So that's
Hmm.
crazy that they're not even going to be involved in this.
I know. Yeah, yeah. Uh, I think that's a good thing. It's crazy, it's not good for the Broccolis, but I mean they got a fat check, so I think they'll be fine.
Yeah.
Um, but they should have let go of the rights a long time ago. Or at least steward someone to take over. Because again, like you said, the same writers for decades at this point.
Hmm.
It's just like, guys, come on, man. That was my issue with Mission Impossible too. Like, I like that each film felt different, and then once we got whatever guy did the rest, he just did
Hmm.
every single one, and they all kind of felt the same. Granted, I haven't seen the last two,
Hmm.
but it's kind of because of that. Like,
Hmm.
I love the one with Henry Cavill. Like, I love each Mission Impossible movie, but like when we talk about them, it's like that back half of the franchise. I can't tell you what happened in what movie because it's just one giant movie to me.
Hmm.
So the one with Henry Cavill, and then that's it.
And those are so fascinating too, because from what I've come to understand, the way by the way, his name's Christopher McQuarrie.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, yeah.
The way he and Tom Cruise build the movies are almost like, hey, I want to do this. Cool.
Hmm.
I also want to do this. Great. Now where does the story come in? Uh
Yeah.
and to a point where I read, and I don't know if we've talked about this, but I read that or maybe you told me this. I'm trying to remember. I don't remember anymore. Um for Dead Reckoning,
Hmm.
the one before this latest one. Um Haley Atwell was filming uh for about a year or so, or like some amount of time or whatever, and didn't know her character's name.
Hmm.
And like the big scene that's in like the middle of the movie was her first day of filming, and she had no idea who she was.
Yeah.
And you know, like, cool, a testament to both actors for being great performers, but also a testament to great editing, you know, for doing the damn job and doing it well. But like that's crazy to me, and that's a kind of way of piecemealing movies together that I don't think I have the brain for, you
So,
know?
listeners, if you don't know what we're talking about, they essentially film all the action scenes first. They
Yeah.
might film a little in between, but essentially, the director and Tom Cruise say, these are the stunts we want to do, these are the action scenes, and they literally have no plot. So
Hmm.
then they kind of come up with the story as they're going. How do we weave these action scenes together? That's why Haley Atwell worked a year on this movie without knowing anything about her character,
Yeah.
including the name. And they also said, I think, I don't know if you brought it up or was that article we read, but if you look at the scene, the dialogue scenes, there's a lot of it in those last half of the franchise. A lot of the scenes are in like really tight, like compact places, like in
Hmm.
cars or in small rooms and stuff where everyone's huddled together because they don't really have time to build sets because they're doing all the action stuff first and then writing as they go. So it's like, okay, we
Mm,
have this scene, we got to go film it. So it's a lot of
interesting.
like either
Okay.
building a set super quick or just using what they have. So a lot of the exposition stuff takes place in like these kind of smaller locations and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I'm like, I'm okay with that for like this franchise because it is such a stunt spectacular action fest.
Hmm.
I don't mind it because I do enjoy these movies and like I'm really not there for the plots, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. True.
like
True.
it's really the stunts and the characters, like they've built this family around Ethan Hunt. So I'm there for that, but like maybe you could do the same thing with James Bond, but I don't know how you could keep up the same level of cool. You have to have like a consistency through those movies. Like there's something like uh, epic. Like I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't
Hmm.
know. Yeah.
You never saw the last Daniel Craig one, did you?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I
I'll
don't know.
lend you my
Spoilers. You
Blu-ray
still got to
again.
go watch it.
Yeah, I'll lend you my Blu-ray again. They kind of do it in that one in No Time to Die, like
Mhm.
at least when it comes to like uh having that sort of like found family, but how
Mhm.
that works and how far that extends in the Bond franchise.
Mhm.
Um and I thought it was interesting, and I thought, like, I don't know, like, maybe we could do that. Um
Mhm.
but yeah, I don't know. I think this is one of those franchises where it's like, no, I think just having Bond be like
Yeah.
himself, like it'd be cool to have him partner with other people,
Mhm.
or like other kind of like factions or whatever, or even having Q join him for an adventure or Moneypenny, like, doesn't matter.
Mhm.
Um, but I think consistently having to find reasons or having to make reasons why the whole the whole of MI6 has to come out to help Bond, like,
Yeah.
I think that gets a little tiring,
Yeah.
like
It's
I
like,
don't think we
okay,
can do that all the
if we're
time.
gonna bring Simon Pegg in, we have to give him something to do.
Yeah.
Whereas before with like Bond, you don't really that's why it was good in Skyfall and maybe the one after, I don't remember.
Spectre, yeah.
Spectre,
Where
where
Q
like
shows up.
yeah, like I like Q, I like Moneypenny, and then Ray Fiennes plays the new M, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Like it kind of a found family. Again, I didn't see the last one, but like and I liked it, but it was never really the focus on those characters never took away from Bond. It was
Yeah.
always a Bond film. The last thing you want to do is turn into a CW show where it's like Flash and Friends. It's like, oh
Yeah.
my God. But also, like in Flash's defense and all those CW shows' defense, they're doing like 20 plus episodes a year. So it's like,
Hmm.
someone give Grant Gustin the day off. Let's focus on these
Please.
other characters or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah,
Speaking of characters that need a day off, man, Andor's just going through it.
yeah, yeah.
We're talking about Andor season 1, episode 11, Daughter of Ferrix, in which we find Cassian freshly out of prison and everything is leading to something else.
So this time, let's talk about Luthen last.
Sure.
Because
Yeah, for
last
sure.
time we're like, let's talk about him first. We'll just get it out of the way.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
um, all right, I'm trying to remember what happens. Let's talk about Mon first. Because it
Okay.
was real short, sweet, and simple. She has a conversation with Vel, Vel,
Vel.
Vel, um, basically telling her that she's really thinking about marrying off the daughter,
Mhm.
which is interesting because, like, I don't know what they're doing. I kind of got vibes of like Bible study.
Yeah, that's kind of what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah, it just feels like from the way you can see like Mon's reaction to it and then especially Vel's,
yeah.
it feels it's like it's like Bible study but the Aryan version. You know, like that's a little bit what it feels like, or if not the Aryan version, like the kind of fascist version of it, you know, like we're definitely going into a territory where it's like this is archaic and the adult characters are having this kind of reaction that's like there's a reason why we don't like this.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm thinking about it because like we really don't know what it is, you know.
Yeah.
So like I don't know. I I I just kind of thought like, okay, yeah, sure, maybe it's some kind of Bible school or whatever. But then to see like Vel's reaction so strong, I was like, oh, this is interesting.
Hmm.
And I mean, I guess that kind of lines up because we've talked about how Mon and Perrin aren't really the best example of like children marriage, you
Hmm.
know?
Child marriage, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Um, it wasn't surprising that they reacted that way, but also at the same time, when we first see what's the daughter's name?
Lita.
Lita. When we first see her, she's telling her mom, "You're just part of the problem." I was thinking like, okay, she's like a very progressive teenager, like a lot of people who are online are, you know.
Hmm.
And she thinks like her mom's just she's just a cog in the system, you know. Sure, she's maybe trying to do good, but she's just part of the system that's failing everyone. You know,
Hmm.
that's the vibes I got. But we also know how progressive Mon and Vel are because they're freaking leading this rebellion.
Right.
So then to see that stark difference between them and Lita and her Bible camp or whatever, I was like, oh,
Hmm.
that's interesting. Maybe the daughter's all down with the Empire. Like, I don't know. Like,
I
but
don't.
also
Oh,
who's to say like if that has anything to do with the Empire and it's just more of like their culture. I forgot what they're called, you know.
it. Yeah. It doesn't have anything to do with the Empire because that's what Mon tells Vel. Um, she says that for some reason it's stronger here than it is back home.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
Uh, and so it's like so it is like it's more Chandrillan than anything else.
Hmm.
Um, which like you just look at history, look at the rise of any sort of like tyrannical faction
Hmm.
at the forefront is usually some movement of oh dang it, there's another word, but like patriotism, like huge swaths of patriotism,
Hmm.
um to the point where it is like yeah, like we've got to put Chandrilla first, and
Yeah.
Chandrilla always, like that kind of a thing where it's like that's a very easy way, especially with the youth, who can feel out of touch with a culture, you
Hmm.
know, and that's a very easy way for, insidious agents to spread into, those groups and into those minds, and start
Yeah.
putting those ideas in their heads, And yeah, like it sucks because yeah, it does seem like Lita is kind of a progressive by just, saying that like, oh yeah, mom, like you're part of the problem. But again, like how much of that is just a 14-year-old girl thinking that she knows everything about the world. She knows
Right.
everything there is to know.
Hmm.
It's like she's just fighting with her mom, you
Hmm.
know? And I yeah, unfortunately it just feels like kind of the thing like what could be the biggest kind of like F you to my mom? And it's like, hey, I'm gonna continue to study this thing that I know
Hmm.
makes her uncomfortable.
You see, so that's interesting because I'm wondering how Lita's going to respond to a proposition of marriage at
Hmm.
her age. Because it's like, okay, well, then is she down with it? If she's down with this other part of their culture, like,
Who knows? Yeah.
people are messy, you know? I mean, you
Yeah.
could like one thing and not the other. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I don't know.
Yep.
But yeah, so that was a good little scene. Uh, what's the next still small but slightly bigger storyline we went through this episode?
Well, they'll also kind of like met up
Oh
with
yeah, Clea.
Clea at the shop, which
Yeah,
she isn't supposed to do.
yeah,
Um,
she's out of control.
yeah.
And y'all want to kill Andor? Andor's wanting to get away. He's not walking into the shop.
Right? Hey man, it's like you said, people are messy and people are complicated. And
Yeah.
yeah, like Vel is a very interesting character because, she comes at this as like, you know, I've done this huge thing.
Hmm.
I was the boots on the ground. I was leading the mission. Like I gave the rebellion, which isn't really a rebellion yet, but
Hmm.
I gave Luthen Aldani,
Yeah.
So I that like it's an interesting thing because it's like from one standpoint I get it as being like okay like an agent or a spy. Yeah, you want to feel like your work means something.
Yeah.
The things that you've done mean something and that maybe that should give you a bigger voice or a bigger seat at the table.
Hmm.
A part of me, and I kind of feel bad for saying this, but a part of me also just feels like, but how much of this is also just that to use a term from TTRPGs, how much of this is like character bleed of
Mm.
that spoiled rich girl, thinking
Yeah.
like
That's
I
exactly what I
did
was thinking.
this, I feel like I'm due for something, like I
Hmm.
am owed something. It's like
Do you want
you
a
don't,
cookie? Like,
yeah,
that's what I was
yeah.
thinking that whole scene.
Yeah, which is such an interesting thing. Like when you look, like Clea straight up tells her just like I don't have, you know, like essentially, or it's like there is no like thing that I've done lately. I'm always here.
Yeah, I love
I am
that. She
always.
says something like, I have no lately. I am
Mhm.
always. I was like,
Yeah,
oh, that's good. I like
yeah,
that.
yeah, and it's
Because
like, yeah, girl, like
yeah, it's just like I get what you did, Val, but I've already told you how dangerous it is to communicate. If
mhm.
we're found out because we're having this conversation, it was all pointless.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And like it's a thing that like I don't know how you could do it in the world, you know, uh or at least like in the world of the story. But that feels like something where it's like if somebody were to do this in real life, it'd be like, "Hey, if we get caught, it's not just us that goes down. It's you that goes down. And
Hmm.
it's not just you that goes down, it's your whole family."
Hmm.
Like you don't get that. And it's an interesting thing once you start looking back at like previous conversations between Vel and Cinta,
Hmm.
where like, Vel when they were in that cafe on Ferrix, Vel is kind of just like, haven't we done enough? Like, haven't we done this? And Cinta's just like on the mission. She's locked
Yeah.
in,
She's
you
basically
know?
saying, she's like, no, no.
Yeah.
If we don't win this battle, this war, none of it is enough. None of it matters.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's like they're like it's so interesting to have these characters that are like fully bought in while being like very complicated and nuanced, like fully bought in on the idea of this is rebellion. We are dismantling the oppressive regime that is strangling the galaxy. And
Hmm.
then you have some people that are like, yeah, but can we just go on a little date first? Can I just like can we have a little vacay? You know, we
And
did the big mission. Can we like just have a picnic and chill
yeah,
for
and
a
the truth
minute?
is like really in the middle, like it's
Yeah.
both are real extremes, between her and
Yeah.
Cinta. But it's just like I'm I'm sorry to quote Clark from The 100.
Oh no.
I don't want us just to survive. I want us to live.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
the rebellion has to be,
Hmm.
built on something.
Hmm.
That's why they had the giant water mud orgy in the Matrix. It's
Oh,
because
yeah,
they're
yeah.
people, because they feel we're not machines.
Because this is what we're doing, man. We're
Yeah,
here.
each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's really in the middle, but at the same time, I think Cinta, out of the two of them, has the more clear cut, like also this is life and death, you know.
Hmm.
Sure, what do we deserve? Do we deserve more? Do we deserve daytime? Sure.
Sure.
But there's
Absolutely.
work to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, look, man, like you can mix business and pleasure. Like you and Cinta can have a little cafe date while y'all are spying on, potential, rebels, in question or whatever. Yeah, hey, everybody has been crying for and begging for for an on-screen romance and on-screen love that is as sexy as Will Turner and Elizabeth Swann in Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End, where they're fighting all the other pirates on the ship. It's in the middle of the hurricane and it's in the like the whirlpool. And this is going out and they're fighting everybody. They're blasting, guns blazing, swords, brandishing. And what are they doing? They're reciting their vows as Barbossa's on the on the bridge. Dearly beloved, we're
Hmm.
gathered together. Doing all this stuff. They're reciting their vows, and then what are they? And then they're kissing in the middle of battle. I'm like, I'm sorry, I want that
If it's
for
not
these
that,
two space
I don't
lesbians.
want it. Yeah.
Yeah, if it's
Yeah.
not that, I don't want it. Like, come
Yeah.
on, like that,
Talk
like
about just a
that.
good cinematic romance for that trilogy,
God, man, yeah.
Like even now, like looking back, I think that trilogy is so underrated because like it was
Hmm.
big, it was popular at the time. The other two may have kind of diluted everyone's memory of those movies, but
For sure, for sure.
everyone praises and worships the first one,
Hmm.
which is a good film.
Hmm.
But
Well, rightly so. I mean, really did came in out of nowhere and was like
sure,
such a massive hit, and you're like, wow,
yeah,
like incredible, like that on its own, fantastic, solid movie.
yeah, not the
Um,
best one though. Like, I'm sorry,
ooh,
everyone
okay,
remembers Raiders of the Lost Ark, but I still think Last Crusade's the best indie movie.
yeah,
Same
yeah,
way with Pirates. I think the first one is my least favorite,
ooh, okay,
just because I love the other two so much. Like they're just
mm-hmm,
so much fun. The first one's it's much more, it's slower, it's fun, it's great, I love it. It's
mm-hmm,
kind of like Iron Man. Everyone praises Iron Man, the best MCU movie ever, except maybe under Winter Soldier. But
yeah, yeah,
it's like, no, man, like it maybe it was at the time, but I've said it before, like it's nowhere near my favorite MCU movie
yeah, yeah,
because it has so little to do with the rest of the stuff that I love in the franchise. It's just the
mm-hmm,
one that started it. So,
mm-hmm.
and
Hot
yeah,
hot take there's a huge swath of the movie that I'm like, I really wish we didn't go here, and I really wish we didn't do this. But my hot take is that A Dead Man's Chest is the best one.
yeah, it's the second one, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, so do I.
yeah,
I think it's the best one. It's the Empire Strikes Back of the
yeah,
Pirates movie.
yeah. I
Like,
do not like the Cannibal Island. It's very
oh,
racist,
yeah, sure.
and yeah, like I can't. I have to knock it for that. But in terms of everything else around it and all the adventure and
Yeah.
swashbuckling. You want to talk about swashbuckling? This is what we're talking about, you know.
Hmm.
We have three guys on different sides of the battle board fighting each other on a giant spinning wheel. I'm like,
Dude,
this is incredible.
yeah,
This is cinema.
you have the three different, and that was my biggest disappointment about the third one was Norrington. They just kill him off.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he
Oh,
was such a pivotal part of the second movie. I think
yeah.
people write him off, but it's like the good, the bad, and the ugly. You know, you have the three interweaving storylines of
Mhm.
people who not really, but they could be the lead of their own films, you know?
Oh, for sure, for
Um,
sure.
and I don't think enough people give that fight scene enough credit where they're fighting on the wheel.
Hmm.
Like stunt wise, that's
Incredible.
spectacular.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about, doing things practically, guys.
Hmm.
CG was used to help, sure, but like they were fighting on that wheel, and I'm like, this is rad.
Do that in your Fantastic Four movie practically,
Except the
and
wheel is Reed Richards.
yeah, oh, there you go, dude. We're writing and directing the next Fantastic Four.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
guarantee it. This is
And
where
as
it
it rolls,
starts.
you just hear Pedro Pascal going, "Whoa!"
and
So
every so often, like you hear the thing go, it's clobber, oh,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
clobber. Oh.
Okay, so I saw an interview with Sophie Thatcher, and they were saying how in Prospect, she's essentially earned herself into the Pedro Pascal like orphan family, you know, because he always takes in these orphans in all his roles. And
Uh-huh.
she's like, "Oh yeah," and she's like, "What was it like working with him?" So she talks about it, and then they didn't even ask, but she brings it up. She's like, "Unfortunately, I didn't get to work with him on Book of Boba Fett because it was his stuntman in the suit." I was like,
Oh,
"Damn it! I love you,
yeah.
Pedro Pascal, but like, why would you not want to be there wearing that suit?" You know?
For the same reason why Robert Downey Jr. refuses to wear the Iron Man suit.
I'm sure it sucks. I'm sure it's tough,
Yeah,
but
and that's kind of like the biggest thing. I know that, like, even dude, even Christian Bale,
yeah.
by like doing like three Batman movies,
Hmm.
it's like by the time you get to the third one, you're like, I'm tired. I'm
And
tired of the
again,
suit.
I understand it. The Iron Man suit is really impossible
It's
because
super impractical. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I get that, but you know, and I also understand how sucky it is to wear the superhero suits and stuff.
Hmm.
But at the same time, who's the actor who plays the new Sue Storm? Sue
Vanessa
Richards?
Vanessa Kirby.
Vanessa Kirby, they asked her about that, and she's like, I don't understand why people complain about the superhero costumes. You know what you're getting into when you sign up. I was like, yeah, these people are getting paid millions of dollars. Like, I got no
Damn.
sympathy. Suck it up. We should
Yeah.
all be more like Jake Gyllenhaal and say, no, you know what? I want to wear this costume in every single scene.
Yeah.
You know? Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, truly, obviously, I think some people are gonna get it, rougher than others.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm sorry, they're not painting and gluing, blue stuff and blue fur onto me for
Right.
6 hours a day.
Yeah.
So like I can't speak to that, but like just wearing like the suit,
But if I'm getting
you
paid millions
know.
of dollars,
Hey, if I'm getting paid, here's the thing. I told Kat this yesterday. I said we would make terrible rich people, but we'd also make terrific rich people. We would be terrible rich people because we would like save our money and not spend it on a lot of frivolous stuff. But
mm,
we would be terrific rich people
hmm,
because we would spend our money on like real things that matter to us and that are
yeah.
important to us. Also, if I'm getting paid millions of dollars, I'm gonna give it to you. I'm gonna like put glue
Yeah.
everything on you. I'm gonna get paid like $17 million to sit in this chair
I'll
for
do it for
six
one.
hours a day. He's like, hell yeah, I'll do it for one. I'll do it for whatever, as long as there's a million in there.
Hmm.
Like, I'll sit in the chair. I'll do it. I'll talk to people. I'll
Yeah.
go out and greet the fans in costume and be like, "Hey, how's it going?" I'll do it all.
I get
Let
it.
me do
I get how uncomfortable and how shitty it might be. Um, and I say right now, like, suck it up. You're getting paid millions
Hmm.
of dollars.
Hmm.
And I understand, like, if I do it, there's a good chance. When I'm angry, I don't do well at hiding it.
Yeah.
So I could see me being a grumpy guy on set. But at
5 years of having to do it. Like, let's see where you're at.
yeah, you see, that's a good point. But like at the same time, if it's superheroes, I love superhero stuff. So I'd be down for the opportunity.
Hmm.
Um, but again, if I'm doing it for years, then I'm like, oh man, I don't know. But
Yeah,
still,
sure.
like I'm getting paid really good for this. I know what it's like to not get paid really good.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so, but more than that, like the fun factor, you
Hmm.
know, like Jake Gyllenhaal. Well, when I talked about Jake Gyllenhaal, I was talking about what was that? No Way Home, Far From Home,
Far from home. Yeah,
Spider-Man
Mysterio.
Far From Home. Yeah, Mysterio,
Yeah.
not Roadhouse, but Mysterio. Um,
He wore that Hawaiian shirt every day.
yeah, it's the exact opposite. No, he wanted because there were scenes where he wasn't wearing it, and he told them he's like, "No, I want to wear it." I was
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, you're playing an iconic supervillain. You want to wear the outfit, you know?"
Yeah.
So,
It's
I don't know.
kind of it's the Paul Giamatti thing of being cast in the Tim
Planet of the
Burton
Apes.
Planet of the Apes,
Yeah, yeah,
where he's just like he tells his agent, it's like, hey, like they're talking about, wanting you for the movie. He's like, if I don't play an ape, I'm gonna murder you.
yeah.
I want to play an ape. Let me play the ape. And I'm like, hell yeah, he's one of the best parts of that movie.
You see, that's where I'm the opposite because I don't want to play ape, and I've told you about zombie movies. I don't want to play a zombie.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
I
yeah.
die on screen, don't bring me back as a zombie. Like I'm gonna go out like Dawn of the Dead, that guy who blows himself up.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I don't, I have no interest in playing zombies.
Hmm.
Like I want to be the guy who kills them. You
Yeah.
know, if I'm gonna play a baddie, gotta make it cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Like something like Doug Jones, where I'm like complete prosthetics. If the claustrophobia doesn't set in, I could see myself having fun with that.
Hmm.
Like the
Hmm.
guy from Pan's Labyrinth, you
Oh,
know.
yeah, yeah.
But like zombies, lame. I'm over it.
Yeah.
I'm just like I don't want to do that. It
Yeah.
just looks gross.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna feel gross, I want to know that I'm doing something cool.
I don't have enough physical control over my body the way
Mhm.
that zombie actors do, or the
Mhm.
people who play like the robots in Westworld.
Yeah.
Like that's just a different control of your body that I don't
Mhm.
think I'll ever have. Um like it would be cool, but yeah,
Yeah.
no, that I don't think that's for me.
But you see, like something in Star Wars, like I could see myself doing something, or like even Doctor Who. Like I'll play
Hmm.
as Cyberman, even though I know how much it sucks, or I can imagine how much it sucks to be in those suits, or even the Daleks just kind of sitting in there, like driving around.
Hmm.
Like I know how sucky that's gonna be, but like the stories I could tell, the opportunities, like guys, I was on Doctor Who.
You know who we're gonna play? We're gonna end up playing alien creatures that look like the two alien brothers in this episode of Andor.
I couldn't understand a single thing they were saying.
I knew they were speaking, and well, I knew that they were saying words in, all intents and purposes English.
Yeah, there were certain
Um,
words that I got, but
yeah, they have like a weird like rhythm to the way they speak and a
Mhm.
weird like verbiage that they use.
Yeah,
Apparently they were originally designed for Rogue One. They were
nice.
originally going to show up somewhere in Rogue One. Um and then they nearly made it into Solo. They were going to be in the Kessel Mines
Okay.
as characters there somewhere. And also, their ship, the Quad Jumper, was shown was technically first appeared in Episode 7, Force Awakens.
Cool.
Yeah, on Jakku. But yeah, I think that's who you and I would play. We would end up
Yeah,
just playing like these two weird brothers. I'll give you a
I'd be
hook
cool with
hand,
that. Like
know?
if it's of course, this is assuming I have a say over what role I will play.
Right.
If it's a superhero or someone like that, like I would be much more inclined to be down for that than
Yeah.
like I don't know, like Gary Oldman Dracula. I would love to play Dracula, but I'm just not a fan of like that monster version of him.
Ooh, which
Like the real ugly kind of bald version. Like I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Uh, Trying to think where that was in Gary Oldman Dracula. Okay.
Right? Wasn't that the
We-
movie?
Yeah, well, he's got like in that he's got like the big hairdo.
Yeah, the big
Uh,
head, like
the what?
the big head.
Yeah, he's got like the big hairdo, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
and then oh yeah, I guess he does kind of look a little like yeah, okay. I can see what you're saying. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
like you still want to look cool,
I
you
want to look
know?
cool, or if I'm not gonna look cool, it needs to be a fun character.
Yeah.
You know, all right, because even like that, I just mentioned Cybermen and Daleks. Those guys are like below the extras. You know, they have like their short end of the stick, but like those are cool, like kind of characters, like or Stormtrooper. You know, I'll be Stormtrooper, but
Yeah.
like if I'm gonna feel grimy and dirty, like I want it to be for something cool.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is, of course, assuming I'm at a place where I can say no to jobs.
Right.
You know, so okay, but man, we've talked about everything except Andor.
Yeah.
Which I mean, he kind of had it like quote
It
unquote
wa-
chill this episode.
yeah.
Um, there was a lot less on the run than I thought was going to happen.
Mhm.
It actually seemed kind of easy, and but luckily it's because those two brothers. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh man,
Yeah. Luckily those two brothers are definitely prison abolitionists and they're like, "Yeah, no, screw the empire. They killed our world."
yeah, and luckily that hotel he was staying at had a horrible cleaning service because all his gold and stuff was still there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, um, I like the talk he has with that other guy. Basically, well, it's really the other guy talking to him, saying like, "Someone needs to tell people what happened and blah blah blah. What if it's just us?" You know. So that was a nice moment. But I think the big moment was basically him finding out that his mom died, and
Yeah.
like, and Diego Luna says nothing through most of that scene, and he's just acting with his eyes, and like, oh my god, dude, like,
Diego Luna has such a great like reaction.
yeah.
Like has yeah, like yeah, speaking of like control of your body, like the way
Yeah.
he just moves his face so that he can react to things differently. Like you
Yeah.
see it in Terror as he's like on Narkina 5 on the prison,
Mm-hmm.
but then here, it's like it's not the same face. Like you can see like there's pain, there's
Yeah.
regret, there's remorse, and yet there's something that keeps him from being able to like break down and cry. Like he's just
Mm-hmm.
like this is the worst piece of news he's heard in his life and he has no idea how to react.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's having all the reactions at once. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw it, but like last week, Diego Luna was took over hosting the Jimmy Kimmel show,
Yeah, I saw some of
and
that.
there he is being like a talk show host, just talking and joking and vibing, and like completely different from Andor. I was like, oh man,
Hmm.
this is nuts.
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah, crazy.
So, yeah.
um
But I think by far, that was, oh man, that's sad about the mom. I like what they said. Deidre, though, man, she's smart. She's trying to lure in Andor, by
yeah.
setting up the funeral and stuff. But I love how they said that what they do on Ferrix is basically cremate the bodies and put them
Hmm.
into bricks, and
Hmm.
like they build you into the wall. I was like, oh, dude,
Hmm.
that's man,
S-
that's
s-
beautiful. Like I love that. Like,
such like a small thing that
yeah.
says so much about the world building.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
it's like we've had no real mention of that at all this entire season.
Yeah.
And then in that one moment, you start to think back of like how much of the city is clay and brick.
Yeah.
That's
And it does kind of
crazy.
fit into like the bits of community we have seen within them so far.
Yeah.
I follow a lot of architecture pages on Instagram, and I just saw one of this guy who his wife passed away, and he built I think it's kind of like a small little chapel or something like that out of stone. And I think there's like
Hmm.
a cross in there. And but the way he built it was that like once a year the sun will hit it in a way that lights up the wall to look like a heart, like a
Mm,
heart made out of light once a year. I was like, dude, that's
that's so
wild.
beautiful.
Yeah, and I'm like, so
Wow.
something like that. So hearing about like being cremated and being made into the walls that build essentially your home and your community, it's
Yeah.
like, damn, that's rad. That's a cool little moment that, like, again, I don't watch a lot of like the extra Star Wars stuff, like the TV shows, and like if you think about Star Wars as a whole, probably the biggest part of Star Wars is Clone Wars, because you're
Mhm.
talking about hours, what, hundreds of hours of
Probably.
show, like, whereas everything else is just movies,
Hmm.
and Mandalorian's like what, maybe 30 hours at this point, but Clone
Yeah.
Wars is like long.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so when you look at the majority of Star Wars, I haven't seen most of it, but what I have seen, you don't get these little bits of reality in it, these bits of culture, which, need I remind you, I am a fan of cultural anthropology.
That's true. That's
I
true.
didn't get my degree, so I have to say it every episode. Um, but yeah, so I love little things like that to just color out the world, and I'm like, wow.
And it's such a difference between lore and cultural world building,
Hmm. Hmm.
where like I feel like a lot of Clone Wars and some most of Star Wars as a whole is a little bit more about the lore of things. It's
Hmm.
like, what is the history of this object or this path or this sect, like all of these things, like, and that's cool, that's great, and that definitely has its place within the story and within storytelling itself. um but it's like I don't need to know the entire history of Excalibur to
Mm,
know that it is the most powerful sword, to
yeah,
know that it is the sword that is meant to bind nations.
yeah.
I don't need to know when it was forged or the other wielders of it. It's like that doesn't matter because it matters here. It's important here and now.
I don't need
Uh,
to see the story of how they created the rings of power.
yeah. Well, I mean that's different because that's a whole other subset. Like you want to talk about like hours and hours of things we don't know about,
Yeah.
the world that Tolkien wrote. It's like we've seen the movies, you know.
Hmm.
Uh there's so much more that goes into it, and that's
Yeah.
kind of where his love of all of that is.
Hmm.
Um and that's fine. That's great. One day I'll delve into it.
Yeah.
Um but like like in terms of like storytelling and stuff, like I think I'm on board as well, where it's like I technically don't need to see it, to understand how powerful the One Ring is or what it represents.
Yeah.
And again, like going back to Andor, it's like, yeah, this is cool because it's a simple object and it's an everyday object that I have seen for 11 episodes in this one place,
Yeah.
and within this community it says so much about it, and it's like that's great, like that's such a great thing, and now you have a different context of not just the place but the people in it.
Yeah. And I think like Star Wars is so much about these big things, good versus evil, Jedi versus Sith. There's a lot of, like you said, lore and mythology. These are like
Hmm.
godlike figures where there's people probably in Andor who don't even think Jedis were real, even
Yeah.
though they were alive in their lifetime. It wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, true.
So, but at the same time, there's a human element to that,
Hmm.
and I mean, it kind of goes back to the classic stories of the gods, and what if like this normal person meeting Zeus or something, like, sure, okay, yeah, history's filled with stories like that, but like where's
Yeah.
just the normal people, like the regular people, and that's what kind of Andor brings into it, but it can still feel big when you get into those details of the story and the cultures of the people. And it's in a way kind of the same thing as showing instead of telling,
Mhm.
because there's a lot of lore about Star Wars and things that happened long ago. Even stuff that we haven't seen in the shows or in the books. You have this mythology of the universe and the good battle of good versus evil. And when it comes to, so we see some of that in the movies, but a lot of it is talked about. But then you get it to something like this, where it's like technically we don't see it either. It's just Deidre and the guys talking about it, but it feels more real. It's like, oh, okay, this
Mhm.
is something rich in a way, kind of mythological, magical, spiritual. you know,
Hmm.
and it's here. It's almost it's tangential, like it's real, you know. This feels more real than these crazy ideas of space wizards and stuff,
Yeah.
you know. I don't need to hear all of these stories, you know, and we don't need to know about the history of the people of Ferrix and how these traditions came to be, you know, the same way we need to know all this other stuff about the Jedi. But it's something real. It's like, oh, this is a belief that's rooted in their culture. I'm like, wow,
Hmm.
damn.
And now I'm going to throw all that out. I'm going to agree. I'm going to hard agree. And then I'm going to throw all that out of the window by saying, I need to know every single thing about Luthen Rail and why he has lightsabers on his ship. He's got lightsaber defenses on his ship.
Yeah,
I
dude.
need to know immediately. I need that right. Like I love that we've gone so hard in being like, this is so real and it's great. People, there may be people who don't believe in space wizards and stuff. It's so cool. It's so grounded. This is how we fight oppression. And then also, by the way, here's a really cool, quick space battle
Yeah,
where a dude uses lightsabers to destroy TIE fighters. And I'm like,
dude.
this is great. This is a perfect show.
The
This is a
whole
great show.
we really got to wrap this up, so we'll run it quick. But like that whole conversation between him and Saul, like
Hmm.
absolutely loved it. Talking about, you know, basically, you know, Luthien convincing him that we got to give up Anton, like we got to sacrifice him,
Yeah.
you know. And it's interesting, and I kind of feel like Saul may have a different or a deeper respect for Luthien now,
Yeah,
because the
for
last
sure.
time they talked, he was always like, "Who are you?" I never really understood what your role was in all this. But now
Hmm.
he sees like, okay, all right, and I like how paranoid he was too. He's like, "You
Hmm.
have people everywhere, right?"
Yeah.
And you know, Luthen calls him out on that. He's like, same way, like no matter what I say, you wouldn't believe it anyway. That's the same way this is happening over here, you know?
Hmm.
And I think he sees him now kind of a more bigger picture, like the type of player he is in this rebellion,
Yeah.
you know? So I'm like, so that was really good. And then, but dude, that scene where he decides, I'm like, what's this guy gonna do? Is he just gonna outrun them? I'm like, that's cool. But he fires the things into like
The radar or
tractor beam.
yeah, tractor beam.
And I'm like, dude, that's nuts. And then I love it. He's like, tractor beam's malfunctioning. I can see that. I was like, damn. And then, of course, the big one, the big reveal, the lightsabers that come out of the ship. I was like, what the hell is
Uh-huh.
that?
Uh-huh.
That was like scene in Resident Evil where it slices up the dude in the hallway.
Hmm.
It was like that, but in space. I was like, what?
Yeah. Those TIE fighters, they never saw it coming.
So now what I want to see is, you know, those things he shot out at the tractor beam.
Hmm.
I want him to shoot all of those things out, but have them all connect like a laser net in Resident Evil. Oh,
Just cut through the whole, like starship.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Or just the bridge, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. What a oh man.
I've always
Uh
wondered, like, is there is are there things that can get through shields? You know, because typically in Star Wars, uh, they have shields. It's kind of I don't really know how they work in Star Wars. I know how they
yeah.
work in Star Trek, you know, because we see like the example on the monitors how it's just like a bubble around the ship for the
Hmm.
most part. But like I've always wondered, I'm like, well, they're meant to take like torpedoes or you know the lasers or whatever. Like, is there anything
Hmm.
that can get through? Like, can you just like
Oh yeah.
stick a gun out the window and like shoot and like a bullet will go through? You know, like I've always kind of wondered that.
Yeah.
Like, is there something that like so small or it's made of a different kind of material that like the ships, the shields won't protect from like, but also you can't beam like in Star Trek, you can't transport when the shields are up. So
Yeah.
maybe not
Yeah.
because then it's even blocking like those subatomic
Yeah,
rays or
subatomic,
whatever.
yeah,
Yeah,
particles.
so
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
not. But I don't know. That's what I was kind of thinking about with this episode. I was like, oh wow, that's
I
cool.
think too here, it is, again, it's all part of like the imperial arrogance. It's
Yeah.
like they probably wouldn't have their deflector shields up
Yeah.
because it's just a small ship, and that's the
Hmm.
thing too. It is a small ship. It's a hull craft. Like it's not a fighter. It's not a,
Yeah.
it's not a battleship. Like they're not looking for a fight,
Yeah.
and that's what gives him the edge. Also the best part of that is that they're using the tractor beam, and he's not doing anything against it. He's just using their own tractor beam against them by having like, hey, you're gonna draw everything to you. Here you go.
Hmm.
And then it just goes through the dish. It's like, oh yeah, because they're not expecting that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and I like how they kind of mentioned he had like fake transponder codes or whatever, so like they don't know what ship that was.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, it was some kind of fake ship. But yeah, dude, like this was awesome. It was a great penultimate episode. So now we're assuming Cassian's going back to Ferrix for the funeral. Luthien's going to Ferrix because he's gonna try and find Andor.
Hmm.
Vale, I guess, is going to Ferrix.
We
Like,
didn't even talk about the return of your boy, the sergeant,
oh,
uh,
dude, I
on the
know.
crappiest video call of all time.
Yeah, man.
Man, it's giving COVID quarantine flashbacks,
Oh
Zoom meeting
man.
flashbacks.
I loved it. I
Uh,
loved it. So that was I loved how frustrating and real that scene was because everyone knows what it's like,
hmm
to have to be like on a Zoom call or whatever and it's
hmm
cutting out.
hmm
He's like, "Yes, that's what I said."
hmm
Ferrix. Like,
the mother, she's
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So I'm
Uh,
assuming Cyril looks like he stole Mama's credit cards, so he's probably heading to Ferrix.
uh-huh.
I'm like, dude, this is gonna be just one big giant. It's like
hmm
smoking aces, dude. It's like, oh my god. So yeah, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
excited. As of recording this, probably gonna watch it. Probably in 1 or 2 nights. Gonna have to watch the last two and then this next one with Dad. So he'll be on next week.
hmm
Yeah.
He'll be on with us talking about Andor season 1, episode 12, Rick's Road,
Mm,
which is all I'm gonna say about that.
yeah.
Listeners, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for sticking around with us. We're having a hell of a time with this show. We hope you are too. Um, Hit us up. Let us know. Let us know what you think of Luthen's ship. Let us know what you think of this episode. If you have any predictions or anything, no spoilers, please. Tag us. Tag us. We're on all social media. Just find us hashtag Lost Legacies. Matt and I will find it. And you can find me on Instagram, BluSky, and Threads at Real. It's REEL Texas Weirdo.
And I'm on Instagram and Threads at Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch and BluSky at Matthew Jimenez.
Alrighty, and until next time,
Get lost.
get lost.